The elegant private jet stood gleaming under the afternoon sun at Boston Logan International Airport. Its owner, a distinguished businessman who had built a tech empire from scratch, approached the aircraft wearing a simple black t-shirt and jeans. Despite his net worth exceeding $2.3 billion, he preferred keeping a low profile and rarely flaunted his wealth. As he walked toward the jet's stairs, a flight attendant rushed out, her face twisted with barely concealed disdain. "Excuse me, sir. This is a private aircraft. The commercial terminal is that way," she said, pointing toward the main building. The businessman, maintaining his composure, reached for his ID and boarding documents. "I'm actually the owner of this aircraft. Here are my credentials." The flight attendant barely glanced at the documentation. "I'm sure there must be some mistake. Perhaps you misunderstood dash." Before she could finish, the aircraft's captain emerged, immediately recognizing the owner from their previous flights. His face paled as he realized what was unfolding. "Sir, I sincerely apologize," the captain intervened, shooting a sharp look at the flight attendant. "Please, come aboard. Everything is prepared for your departure to San Francisco." The businessman calmly boarded the aircraft, but the incident left a bitter taste. He had experienced similar prejudices throughout his journey from a small apartment in Chicago's South Side to becoming one of the country's most successful tech entrepreneurs. Inside the jet, he overheard the captain severely reprimanding the flight attendant. "Do you realize who that is? He's not just our passenger, he owns this entire fleet." The flight attendant's voice trembled. I didn't know. He wasn't dressed like Dash." "Like what?" the captain interrupted. "A billionaire? This is exactly why we have strict protocols about treating every passenger with respect, regardless of their appearance." As the jet cruised at 40,000 feet, the businessman reflected on his path to success. He remembered the countless times he'd been underestimated, overlooked, or dismissed based on preconceptions. Each incident had only strengthened his resolve to succeed and create change. He picked up his phone and called his chief of operations. "I want a complete review of our aviation staff training protocols. This isn't just about today's incident, it's about ensuring every person who steps onto our aircraft is treated with dignity." Within hours, his team had already begun drafting new company-wide sensitivity training programs. The businessman insisted on a comprehensive approach, not just addressing racial bias, but all forms of discrimination. He didn't want anyone else to experience what he had faced countless times. The flight attendant's actions would have consequences, but not in the way many might expect. Instead of immediate termination, the businessman saw an opportunity for broader change. He decided to turn this incident into a teaching moment that would impact not just his company, but the entire private aviation industry. Over the next few weeks, he worked with diversity consultants to develop an industry-leading training program. The flight attendant's experience became an anonymous case study, helping others understand how unconscious bias affects workplace interactions. The story caught the attention of aviation industry leaders. Other companies began reaching out, wanting to implement similar training programs. What started as an unfortunate incident was transforming into a movement for positive change in corporate aviation. As news of these changes spread, the businessman received messages from other successful entrepreneurs who had faced similar experiences. They shared their stories, contributing to an expanding dialogue about prejudice in luxury services. The businessman's response demonstrated true leadership, choosing education over punishment, systemic change over personal retribution. His approach wasn't just about addressing a single incident, but about creating lasting impact in an industry that needed evolution. Looking out the jet's window at the vast expanse of clouds below, he smiled slightly. Every obstacle had been a stepping stone, every challenge an opportunity. This incident would be no different, another chance to build something meaningful, to create positive change in an industry that touched thousands of lives. His tech empire had begun with a simple idea: making technology accessible to everyone, regardless of their background. Now, he was applying the same principle to private aviation, ensuring dignity and respect for all, regardless of appearance or background. As the jet began its descent into San Francisco, he was already planning the next steps. This wouldn't be just another corporate training program, it would be a movement toward genuine inclusion in an industry that had long struggled with preconceptions and bias. The next day, the businessman's team gathered in the San Francisco office's main conference room. The morning sun streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows as they reviewed the incident report from the previous day's flight. His chief of human resources, a woman who had been with the company since its early startup days, presented the preliminary findings. The flight attendant has been with our aviation service for 3 years, with an otherwise spotless record. However, this incident reveals gaps in our training that we need to address immediately. The businessman leaned forward, his fingers interlocked on the polished conference table. I want to hear your thoughts on how we can turn this into an opportunity for industry-wide change. As the team discussed potential solutions, they received unexpected news. The flight attendant had written a lengthy email, not attempting to justify her actions, but expressing genuine remorse and a desire to be part of the solution. I've spent the night reflecting on my behavior, her email read. I realize I acted on unconscious biases that I didn't even know I harbored. I want to make this right, not just with an apology, but with actions. The businessman shared the email with his team. This is exactly the kind of accountability we need. Someone who acknowledges their mistakes and wants to grow from them. He made a decision that surprised many. Instead of terminating her employment, he invited the flight attendant to help develop the new training program. Her first-hand experience and willingness to learn would make the training more relatable and effective. The news of this approach spread quickly through the aviation industry. Other companies, initially expecting a story of swift punishment, were intrigued by this alternative response. It challenged the typical corporate reaction to such incidents. Trade publications began reaching out for interviews. The businessman saw another opportunity. He agreed to speak, not about his success or wealth, but about the importance of addressing systemic biases in luxury services. Success isn't just about making money, he told one interviewer. It's about creating lasting positive change. Sometimes, that means taking a different approach when faced with adversity. The flight attendant, though initially nervous about her role in the training program, proved to be an effective advocate. Her honest acknowledgement of her biases and commitment to change resonated with other employees. I never saw myself as someone who judged others, she shared during a training session. But that day made me realize we all have biases we need to confront. The real test is what we do once we recognize them. The training program expanded beyond basic diversity awareness. It included scenarios drawn from real experiences, discussions about unconscious bias, and practical strategies for providing equitable service to all clients. Other luxury service providers began to take notice. High-end hotels, exclusive clubs, and premium retailers reached out, wanting to learn from this approach. The businessman's response to discrimination was becoming a model for the entire luxury service industry. His tech company's stock price rose as news of his handling of the situation spread. Investors saw it as a sign of forward-thinking leadership, capable of turning potential PR crises into opportunities for positive change. But for the businessman, the most satisfying outcome was seeing real change take root. Staff members began sharing stories of how the new training had helped them recognize and address their own biases. We're not just changing policies, he told his team during a follow-up meeting. We're changing mindsets. That's how we create lasting impact. As the weeks passed, the incident that could have ended in bitter headlines and terminated employment instead sparked a movement toward genuine inclusion in luxury services. The businessman had shown that true leadership meant seeing beyond immediate reactions to find opportunities for meaningful change. His approach demonstrated that addressing discrimination didn't always require punishment. Sometimes, it required patience, understanding, and a willingness to help others grow. This philosophy was transforming not just his company, but an entire industry's approach to bias and inclusion. The story was becoming a case study in effective leadership and cultural change, proving that even negative experiences could be transformed into catalysts for positive transformation. As the training program gained momentum, an unexpected development emerged. Major airlines began approaching the businessman's company, seeking guidance on implementing similar initiatives across their organizations. At a high-level aviation industry conference in Dubai, the businessman took center stage to share his vision. The packed auditorium fell silent as he recounted not just the recent incident, but his lifelong journey of facing and overcoming prejudice in various forms. Change doesn't come from hiding our mistakes, he addressed the crowd. It comes from acknowledging them and being brave enough to learn from them. Today, I'm not here to shame anyone. I'm here to invite everyone to be part of the solution. His words resonated deeply with industry leaders who had long struggled with similar issues but hadn't known how to address them effectively. After his speech, several major airline CEOs approached him about collaboration opportunities. Back in San Francisco, his team was working on expanding the training program into a comprehensive certification system for luxury service providers. The flight attendant, who had become an integral part of the initiative, was now leading workshops sharing her personal journey of transformation. 6 months ago, I made a mistake that could have ended my career, she told a group of new trainees. Instead, it became the catalyst for the most significant professional growth I've ever experienced. It taught me that our preconceptions, no matter how deeply ingrained, can be unlearned. The businessman's approach had created a ripple effect throughout the industry. Companies were beginning to realize that addressing bias wasn't just about avoiding bad publicity, it was about creating a more inclusive and profitable business environment. A major turning point came when a prestigious business school approached him about developing a case study. They wanted to document how his response to discrimination had transformed into a movement for positive change in the luxury service sector. The case study revealed surprising statistics. Companies that had implemented the training program reported a 40% decrease in customer complaints related to discriminatory treatment and a 25% increase in customer satisfaction scores across all demographics. During a board meeting, one of the directors questioned whether all this focus on social change was distracting from their core business. The businessman's response was characteristically thoughtful. Our core business is about innovation and making lives better, he explained. This initiative isn't a distraction, it's an extension of our mission. We're innovating in human interaction just as we've innovated in technology. His words proved prophetic. The company's reputation for ethical leadership began attracting top talent who wanted to be part of an organization that valued more than just profit. Employee retention rates improved, and the company culture grew stronger. The flight attendant's role in the program had evolved far beyond her original position. She was now traveling internationally, helping other companies implement similar training programs. Her story of transformation had become a powerful testament to the possibility of change. 1 year after the incident, the businessman hosted a gala celebrating the program's success. Industry leaders, employees, and advocacy groups gathered to mark the occasion. The atmosphere was one of genuine celebration, not just of what had been accomplished, but of what was still to come. We've shown that addressing bias isn't just about pointing fingers, he said in his speech. It's about creating opportunities for growth and understanding. When we approach these challenges with compassion and determination, we can create lasting change. As he concluded his speech, he announced the launch of a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting diversity and inclusion in luxury services worldwide. The foundation would provide resources, training, and support to companies ready to commit to meaningful change. The incident that could have ended in headlines about discrimination had instead sparked a global movement for inclusion. It proved that true leadership wasn't about swift punishment, but about having the vision to transform challenges into opportunities for positive change. The businessman's initiative was now making waves beyond the luxury service industry. Educational institutions began incorporating the training program into their hospitality and business management curricula, recognizing its value in preparing future industry leaders. During a private meeting with his executive team, they reviewed the latest impact report. The data showed that companies implementing their training program had experienced significant improvements in employee satisfaction and customer loyalty across all demographics. The flight attendant, now a senior diversity consultant, was preparing to launch a series of workshops specifically designed for frontline service workers. Her personal experience continued to resonate with employees at all levels. "When we share our stories honestly, we create space for real change," she explained during a training session. "Every person who goes through this program becomes an agent of transformation in their workplace." The businessman received an invitation to speak at the United Nations Global Business Forum. His approach to addressing discrimination had caught the attention of international business leaders seeking innovative solutions to similar challenges. During his presentation, he shared a powerful insight: success in business isn't just measured in profit margins. It's measured in the positive impact we create, the lives we touch, and the changes we inspire. The impact of his words reached unexpected places. A group of young entrepreneurs from emerging markets approached him for mentorship, eager to learn how to build businesses that prioritized both profit and social responsibility. His company's approach to handling the incident became required reading at leading business schools. Students analyzed how a potentially damaging situation was transformed into a catalyst for industry-wide improvement. The training program's success led to the development of an AI-powered platform that helped companies identify potential bias in their service delivery. The technology combined data analysis with human insight to create more inclusive customer experiences. During a quarterly review meeting, the businessman announced plans to expand the program's reach. "We've seen what's possible when we approach discrimination with a solution-oriented mindset. Now it's time to scale this impact globally." His team developed partnerships with international hotel chains, luxury retailers, and high-end service providers. The program was adapted to address cultural nuances while maintaining its core message of dignity and respect for all. The flight attendant's journey became a symbol of personal and professional transformation. Her story inspired others to confront their biases and commit to change, proving that growth was possible with the right support and mindset. A year and a half after the incident, the businessman hosted an international conference on inclusive luxury services. Industry leaders from 6 continents gathered to share experiences and strategies for creating more equitable service environments. The conference highlighted success stories from companies that had implemented the training program. Customer satisfaction scores had improved across all demographics, and employee retention rates had increased significantly. Research universities began studying the long-term impact of the initiative. Early findings suggested that companies committed to inclusive service practices were seeing improved financial performance and stronger brand loyalty. The businessman reflected on how a challenging moment had evolved into a movement for positive change. "Sometimes our greatest opportunities for growth come disguised as our biggest challenges," he shared during a mentorship session. His approach had proven that addressing discrimination required more than quick fixes or punitive measures. Real change came from creating environments where people felt safe acknowledging their biases and committed to personal growth. The story continued to inspire others in unexpected ways. Small business owners began adapting the principles to their operations, proving that creating inclusive environments wasn't limited to large corporations. 2 years after the incident, the businessman's initiative had evolved into a global movement. His company's headquarters now hosted a state-of-the-art training center where service industry professionals from around the world came to learn about inclusive practices. During a leadership summit in Singapore, he shared compelling data about the program's impact. Companies that had fully implemented the training reported a 60% decrease in discrimination-related incidents and a 45% increase in positive customer feedback from diverse backgrounds. The flight attendant, now an executive director of the training program, led a groundbreaking research project. Her team studied how unconscious bias affected service quality across different cultures and economic segments. What we've discovered, she presented to industry leaders, is that excellence in service is directly linked to inclusivity. When staff members feel empowered to recognize and address their biases, service quality improves for everyone. The businessman's tech company launched an innovative mobile application that helped service providers track and improve their inclusivity metrics. The app provided real-time feedback and personalized training recommendations based on actual service interactions. At a private aviation conference in Geneva, he announced a revolutionary partnership with leading aircraft manufacturers. New private jets would come equipped with advanced training modules for crew members, making inclusive service a standard feature rather than an afterthought. The success stories kept mounting. A luxury hotel chain reported a 35% increase in repeat bookings after implementing the program. A high-end restaurant group saw their customer satisfaction scores rise across all demographic categories. During a mentoring session with young entrepreneurs, the businessman shared a powerful insight: true luxury isn't about exclusivity, it's about making everyone feel equally valued and respected. His words resonated with a new generation of business leaders who were reshaping the luxury industry. They understood that success in the modern world required more than just premium products and services, it required genuine inclusivity. The flight attendant's personal transformation story became part of a documentary series about workplace culture change. Her journey from that pivotal moment on the private jet to becoming a leading voice in corporate training inspired viewers worldwide. Research universities in Europe and Asia began studying the long-term effects of the training program. Their findings showed that companies committed to inclusive practices weren't just more profitable, they were more innovative and adaptable to change. During a board meeting, the businessman proposed an ambitious expansion of the initiative. "We've proven that addressing bias isn't just morally right, it's good business. Now it's time to make these practices the industry standard." His team developed specialized training modules for different sectors of the luxury industry, from fashion retail to fine dining. Each module addressed unique challenges while maintaining the core principle of dignity for all. The program's success attracted attention from government agencies responsible for industry regulations. They began consulting with the businessman's team on developing standards for inclusive service practices. As the initiative entered its third year, its impact was undeniable. The luxury service industry was transforming from an exclusive club into a model of inclusive excellence. Companies that had once worried about losing their premium image by becoming more inclusive were now seeing the benefits of change. The initiative's third year brought unprecedented growth and recognition. During a global luxury brands conference in Milan, the businessman unveiled groundbreaking research showing how inclusive practices had transformed customer loyalty across the industry. The flight attendants department had grown into a full-fledged consulting division, working with Fortune 500 companies to implement comprehensive diversity strategies. Her team's latest project involved creating virtual reality training simulations that allowed service staff to experience interactions from different perspectives. "We've moved beyond traditional training methods," she explained at a tech symposium. "When people can literally step into someone else's shoes, it creates deeper understanding and lasting change." The businessman's tech company developed an AI-powered feedback system that helped service providers identify subtle patterns of bias in their operations. The system analyzed everything from booking procedures to customer interactions, providing actionable insights for improvement. A major breakthrough came when several sovereign wealth funds approached the businessman about implementing the program across their luxury hotel portfolios. This partnership would bring inclusive service practices to some of the world's most exclusive properties. During a closed-door meeting with industry leaders, he shared compelling data. companies that had fully embraced the program saw their market value increase by an average of 28% over 3 years. Employee retention rates had improved by 45%. The flight attendant's personal story had become a case study at leading business schools. Students analyzed how her journey from that crucial moment on the private jet had catalyzed an industry-wide transformation. The program's success attracted attention from unexpected quarters. Space tourism companies began incorporating the training into their preparation for civilian space flights. Recognizing that inclusive service would be crucial in this new frontier of luxury travel. During a TED Talk that went viral, the businessman shared his vision for the future. Luxury isn't about creating barriers. It's about elevating experiences while maintaining dignity for all. True excellence in service comes from understanding and respecting every individual. His words resonated particularly with emerging luxury markets in Asia and Africa, where companies were eager to build inclusive practices into their foundation rather than retrofitting them later. The flight attendant led a groundbreaking initiative to create industry-specific certifications for inclusive service excellence. These certifications quickly became prestigious credentials in the luxury service sector. Research showed that certified companies experienced fewer customer complaints, higher staff satisfaction, and stronger brand loyalty across all demographic groups. The training program expanded to include modules on cultural competency, disability awareness, and age-related sensitivity. Each edition made the program more comprehensive and effective. At a luxury retail summit in Tokyo, the businessman announced plans to establish regional training centers across 5 continents. "We're creating a global network of excellence in inclusive service," he declared. The impact extended beyond traditional luxury sectors. Tech companies, financial services firms, and healthcare providers began adapting the program's principles to their customer service operations. The initiative had grown from a response to a single incident into a movement reshaping global service standards. It proved that addressing discrimination through education and understanding could create lasting positive change. As the initiative entered its 4th year, its influence reached beyond luxury services into broader societal change. At an international business forum in Singapore, the businessman presented data showing how improved service practices led to better social integration across communities. The flight attendant, now a globally recognized expert in service transformation, launched a pioneering program focusing on next-generation service professionals. Her curriculum combined traditional hospitality skills with advanced emotional intelligence training. "Today's luxury service isn't about creating exclusivity," she explained at a hospitality summit. "It's about understanding that true excellence comes from treating everyone with equal dignity." The businessman's tech company unveiled an advanced training platform that used machine learning to create personalized learning experiences. The system adapted to each user's progress, addressing specific biases and service gaps identified through real-world interactions. Impact studies revealed remarkable trends. Organizations implementing the program reported a 55% reduction in customer complaints and a 70% improvement in employee satisfaction. Scores. More significantly, these companies became preferred employers for top talent across all demographics. During a private aviation industry gathering, he announced a groundbreaking partnership with flight schools worldwide. "We're embedding inclusive service principles into the foundation of aviation training," he declared. "Future generations of aviation professionals will start their careers with these values already ingrained." The program's success caught the attention of government agencies responsible for civil rights enforcement. They began studying how similar principles could be applied to public service sectors. The flight attendant spearheaded a unique mentorship program pairing experienced service professionals with newcomers to the industry. This initiative ensured that inclusive practices were passed down through practical, hands-on experience. Research universities documented how the program had influenced corporate culture beyond customer service. Companies reported improved collaboration, reduced workplace conflicts, and more innovative problem-solving approaches. At a luxury retail conference in Paris, the businessmen shared a vision for the future. We're not just changing how we serve customers, we're changing how we see and value each other as human beings. The initiative expanded to include specialized training for medical tourism, highlighting how inclusive service practices could improve healthcare outcomes for international patients. The flight attendants team developed new modules addressing emerging challenges in virtual and augmented reality customer service, preparing luxury brands for the digital future. Companies that had implemented the program reported unexpected benefits: improved crisis management capabilities, stronger community relationships, and increased adaptability to changing market conditions. As the fourth year drew to a close, the businessmen reflected on the journey during a TED Talk. What started as a response to discrimination has become a blueprint for building a more inclusive society. The impact of his words reached beyond business circles, inspiring educational institutions to incorporate similar principles into their curricula. The movement had transcended its origins to become a catalyst for broader social change. The story concluded its transformation in its fifth year, marking a complete revolution in the luxury service industry. At a global summit in London, the businessmen presented the initiative's 5-year impact report, revealing extraordinary changes across multiple sectors. The flight attendant, now a leading figure in corporate transformation, published a comprehensive guide that became an instant bestseller. Her book detailed how one moment of confronting bias could spark worldwide change. Statistics showed remarkable industry-wide improvements: a 75% decrease in discrimination complaints, 80% increase in diverse customer retention, and 90% employee satisfaction rates across participating companies. The training program had evolved into a global standard, with certification becoming mandatory for luxury service providers in several countries. Over 10,000 companies worldwide had implemented the program, affecting millions of customer interactions daily. During the summit's keynote address, the businessman announced the launch of an international foundation dedicated to promoting inclusive service practices in developing markets. The foundation would provide resources and training at no cost to emerging businesses. The flight attendant led the foundation's educational initiatives, focusing on creating opportunities for underprivileged youth to enter the luxury service industry. Her program had already helped place over 5,000 graduates in prestigious positions worldwide. Research demonstrated that companies adhering to the program's principles consistently outperformed their competitors in customer satisfaction, employee retention, and profitability. The business case for inclusive service was now irrefutable. The original incident had sparked a movement that transcended its origins, creating lasting change in how businesses approached service excellence. The businessman's response to discrimination had become a template for transformative leadership. As he concluded his keynote speech, he shared a final reflection: 5 years ago, we faced a choice between punishment and transformation. By choosing transformation, we've created a legacy that will benefit generations to come. The story of the flight attendant's journey from that pivotal moment to becoming a global change agent inspired countless others to confront their own biases and work toward positive change. The initiative's success proved that addressing discrimination through education and understanding, rather than punishment alone, could create sustainable, meaningful transformation across entire industries. As the conference concluded, the businessman announced plans for the next 5 years, focusing on expanding the program's reach to new industries and regions, ensuring that inclusive service would become the global standard rather than the exception. The flight attendant's final presentation highlighted the personal impact of the program: thousands of testimonials from service professionals whose lives and perspectives had been transformed through the training. The story had come full circle, from a moment of prejudice on a private jet to a global movement that had fundamentally changed how the world approached luxury service and human dignity. This transformation served as a powerful reminder that even the most challenging moments could become catalysts for positive change when approached with wisdom, compassion, and a commitment to growth.